using the parlays against one another, right? And being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you know, as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Warriors learn some of that split action that they run offensively and bring it to your own team. Folks, the name is Kenny Atkinson. Every time there is a job with a young core that needs to take the next step, I always think of Kenny Atkinson.
Only on Sport.
Welcome to hour number 2, live right here on this Wednesday on the early line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie right side. I am Ben Stevens. Into our second hour. Still 2 more to go up until 11 a.m. Eastern time. It's the day before, the day of the 2024 NBA Finals, beginning with game number 1 tomorrow night on opening night in Boston between the Celtics and the Mavericks. We will preview continuously the NBA Finals throughout this second hour into our third, and we'll talk storylines around the championship series here moving forward. Donnie, we have almost made it. Just 1 day to go before the NBA Finals finally begins.
Maybe we'll take a look at the game again. Maybe we'll see where the line moved here. Maybe we'll see who the MVPs are. We got you covered. Don't worry. And sooner than later, Thursday night, we're going to have a tip-off, and you're going to be well-informed as people that watch the SportsGrid Network. But I can't wait for it to happen because it seems like we've been taught, like football season, ended with the Super Bowl. We're still months away. It feels like that's when the end, like, hey, when's the last NBA game? I think it's back in February. That's the way it feels right now. But eventually tomorrow, we will have our salvation.
We will have our salvation. It will be game number 1 of the NBA Finals in Boston, with the line actually moving on this Wednesday morning. Now 6.5, once again, in favor of Boston. Total back up by a hook. The over-under currently stands at 214.5. But let's talk narrative. Let's talk storyline. Let's have some debate here on this Wednesday morning on the early line on SportsGrid. We're going to play a game of Rate the 2024 NBA storylines on a scale of 1 to 10 based on intrigue. 10 being the most interesting, 1 being like, shucks, who cares? First storyline coming your way, DRS, Kyrie Irving and his return to Beantown to take on his former team, the Boston Celtics. Scale of 1 to 10, how intrigued are you by this storyline?
Now, number 1, I'm glad you told me we had a rating scale of 1 to 10 because I never would have used a 1 to 10 scale during this and would have probably been fun to play it out. But if we are rating the storyline, I'm going to give this like a 3 at this point. And you might say, like, wait a second, this is supposed to be a big rivalry. Here's the issue. In the past, if this was 2 or 3 years ago, Kyrie Irving coming to Boston, burning sage as he went around the court, Kyrie Irving coming to Boston when the game is over, stomping on the Celtic logo. This is supposed to be one of those environments that should be extremely hostile towards Kyrie Irving. but he's diffusing the situation way ahead of time. Like, this is a new Kyrie Irving. In the past, it was always like, boy, what's Kyrie Irving saying? How's he acting? What's he doing today? Putting him in the highlights. But now all of a sudden, I'm playing great basketball and I'm getting the mic with nothing but smiles and saying, like, you know what? I handled that entire situation wrong with the Celtics. Like, I wish it would have went better, and maybe I can make amends with that, because this would be an unbelievable villain coming back and saying, you know what? I hated it here. I hated you guys. And the thing I want most in my life is to win a championship. And hopefully we can clinch that in like game number 5 or game number 7. And I can burn sage and stomp on your logo again. This should be a 10 out of 10. But since this is the new Kyrie, it's like a 3 out of 10 now for me, Ben.
Yeah, I agree. I would give it a 5 just because I do believe the Boston crowd will boo him ruthlessly and relentlessly on game number 1's opening night tomorrow inside TD Garden. It is not going to be oh, you know what, Kyrie, you were right. Thanks for maturing and growing up just a little bit. Welcome back to TD Garden. In fact, it might be the complete opposite of that. Some gnarly things are probably going to be said on a Thursday night in Beantown. But from Kyrie's perspective, he doesn't want to play the villain. We are not going to get the great viral clip of him burning sage on Dallas's sideline, getting ready for game number 1, walking the hallowed halls of TD Garden. It's not going to be the case. Kyrie has owned his moments in Boston. He was there for 2 years, from 2017 through 2019, and said at that stage of his life, he wasn't mentally prepared to be in that situation in Beantown. He did not handle it properly. Now, I think you can give Kyrie a little bit of credit for that. Kyrie Irving's done a lot of other things in the time since he left Boston that I don't really cut him any slack for. With that being said, it's not exactly the most intriguing storyline now as it might have been just a few years ago. But it's not the only reunion in the 2024 NBA Finals. Kristaps Porzingis say hello once again to the Dallas Mavericks, scale of 1 to 10, or whatever scale you would like to use, DRS. How intrigued are you by KP facing off against the Mavs?
Now, I look at the graphic right there, and here's why I say it's a 1. We don't even have a picture of Kristaps Porzingis in a Mavericks unit. Did he even play for the Mavericks? Does anybody even remember the time remotely that he played for the Mavericks at this point? I mean, So
just to say, Kyrie was in his Dallas jersey as well. We had the Boston jersey on the other side. But
that's pretty good.
Yeah, just so you know. Yeah.
I just wanted to pay attention, rip that. But no, there is no storyline for Porzingis saying, you know what, I'm going to get the Dallas fan base back at this point. That's got to be kind of low at this point. And maybe we should be rating the storyline like Kyrie as a general manager of a shoe brand, signing his father to a shoe deal before himself there. So maybe there's some other things we can rate. But Porzingis, way down the list here. That is a 1 for me, Ben.
So, Donnie, he did play in Dallas, just so you know, from 2019 halfway through the 2021 or 2022 campaign as well, about 2.5 years before he was traded to the Washington Wizards. He was really good friends, and I think probably still remains, with Luka Doncic. I think, if anything, it will be more heartwarming for those two back on the court at the same time. I guess I'll give it a 2 just because we can make some jokes. It's like, ooh, Kyrie versus
I'm about
Boston.
to give this segment
KP
a 2. How
versus
about that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Whoa, what was that? What was that?
Yeah, this segment rating is a 2 right now at this point. I mean, look, let me tell the people behind the scenes here. You want to talk about rate the storylines? I'll come up with some real good storylines that we can rate that will have nothing to do with these ones that we're talking about. And I can't give you because I want to work here longer, so I can't. So maybe I can, got to go through a filter process before it actually makes to the air here. But so far we got Kyrie versus the Celtics, which again should be a great one, but Kyrie diffused it. Porzingis versus I got, you know what? I should upgrade that to a 10 because nobody's talking about, hey man, Porzingis versus Dallas as if that's going to be a big deal. That's a good one.
That's got to be our storyline before Game 3 in Dallas. We got to start putting some things out there. Maybe we can get it micro-influenced by all those Mavericks followers that follow the SportsGrid network as of late, that we can build it, boo him relentlessly, make it a terrible homecoming as he returns to the Lone Star State. Maybe that will be our storyline, and thus we give it a 10. You almost saw the unfiltered mind of Donnie Rightside live on national television. I'm not sure I would have been able to show up for work tomorrow just in correlation had we let that just go off the rails. All right. Can't wait for your thoughts on this one. Our third and final rate the storyline. The Celtics going for championship number 18, scale of 1 to 10.
I mean, come on now. Like, what does it impact in my life or anybody's life if Celtics get number 18 at this point? I mean, come on now. What are we rating here at this point? Like, is this monumental information? Yes, I mean, it sounds really good that they're going to get win number 18. Is that the storyline? Like, hey, the Celtics got number 18. It's like, yeah, number 1 came like 70 years ago at this point. It's not as if it's 18 in a row or 18 out of 20. So I'm going to go ahead and give this storyline a 1. We got to get back to the drawing board. Come on. Where's the excitement? Where is it? Man.
Listen, it's been a long time. Okay, it's been a long time. Thursday last week was the final game of the Western Conference Finals. The Celtics haven't played since last Monday. We're trying to get creative. Joe Frizo is doing yeoman's work back there, and Donnie's out here slandering it and taking deep breaths before he gives it a 1. Yeah. Oh, I'll give it like a 3, I guess, just because it is the pressure of how Boston is evaluated and judged. If they can't win a championship, the last one coming in 2008, as we shared yesterday, a ton of them, I think 11 coming from 1957 to 1969. Boston needs to win a championship, and this young core will be judged by that. Led by Jason Tatum, led by Jaylen Brown. What's more likely in the NBA Finals? A new game next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The age-old question, not what's more likely to happen in the 2024 NBA Finals, but will my co-host Donnie Rightside like this segment and what we are trying to do here creatively ahead of game number 1 of the 2024 NBA Finals. None of this would have happened, by the way, DRS, if we just had longer series in the conference finals round and didn't have 7 days to kill before we got to game number 1 tomorrow night in Beantown.
We wouldn't be rating nonsense stories here, but it is almost time to get down to business. So the rating on us waiting for the game, that's a 10.
Yeah.
Because we've been waiting for a long time for that game to tip off on Thursday night. We don't think it's going to disappoint. It's got superstars on both sides. It's what we want to see. And also, hopefully, can get an extended series. So we don't have to start rating NFL teams because the NBA Finals ended in 4 games at that point.
Right. And these are going to be questions of what is more likely to occur that will actually be based on game flow and how the series evolves night after night, game after game, not just storylines and narratives entering the NBA Finals. So we go to the second fiddle, and fiddle's probably not the right word, but the second superstar of the two on both teams. I guess if I said that about Jaylen Brown, you might say, well, he won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP award, but I digress. To be the series leading scorer, Luka Doncic is a heavy odds-on favorite, and Jason Tatum has the second best price. But tied for the third best number at 12-1 is Kyrie Irving for Dallas and Jaylen Brown for Boston. So what is more likely as we show you those odds to be the series leading scorer? 12-1 on Kyrie, 12-1 on Jaylen Brown. What is more likely? Kyrie leads the series in scoring, or Jaylen Brown leads the series in scoring for Boston?
That's an interesting scenario because you take a look at, 12-1 and 12-1, but I don't think it's equal on both sides. Now, you might take a look and say, well, there's more scorers on the Celtics, so it might be a little bit harder where you are only looking at the Dallas Mavericks as it's either going to be Doncic and or Kyrie Irving on that side. So sort of that equator was, okay, do you think that Kyrie Irving's going to score more than Luka Doncic? I don't think that's the case. But when we take a look at the Celtics, I do believe that Jaylen Brown has a legitimate chance to overtake Jason Tatum as the point-scoring leader. Now, granted, the question isn't asking like either side of that because you could have like, hey, look at this. Leading scorer is going to be Jaylen Brown. Then the opposite side, Tatum plays a little bit better, but he beats out Kyrie Irving. You see the point I'm trying to make here. But if I'm being optimistic here, Jaylen Brown to me is the better overall scorer. And I do think that he has a chance to average in the high 20s, which is probably what it's going to take to be the top scorer in the series. Where when I look at Kyrie Irving, like, yes, he has the ability to score 30 points, and you might even use it as extra motivation, even though Kyrie publicly is not saying like, boy, I would really love to go in there and crush that squad and crush the hearts and dreams of all those fans here. So when I look at it and say, from a scoring standpoint, Jaylen Brown has a legitimate chance to be the top scorer. That's the way I would side it.
So as we look at what happened in the conference finals round, of course, Jaylen Brown scored 24 in all 4 games at least against Indiana, a 40-point dazzling performance in game number 2, 29 in the finale to wrap up the Eastern Conference Finals MVP award. That's 119 total points in only 4 games, averaging better than 29 points per game throughout the Eastern Conference Finals. Kyrie played an additional game and ended up scoring more than Jaylen Brown, but not by much. Kyrie Irving scoring 30-plus in 3 of the 5 against Minnesota. I'll say it like this. I think it's more likely that Kyrie Irving could be the series leading scorer. But if Kyrie Irving is the series leading scorer, the Dallas Mavericks are not winning the NBA championship, and the Dallas Mavericks more than likely are getting bounced, I think, in 5 or 6 games. If Jaylen Brown is the series leading scorer, I do think there is a really good chance the Boston Celtics win the NBA championship, and it could be where Boston is winning this rather comfortably, but it might be more competitive because Luka Doncic could be the second leading scorer in this series. So I think it is more likely that Kyrie Irving could be the NBA Finals leading scorer, but I don't think necessarily, Donnie, that's a good thing for the Mavericks.
Yeah, and also, it's not really the MO with the Mavericks. Like, it typically is Luka Doncic going to get his number around 30 points here, and Kyrie's going to play that point of, I'm wide open, I can get hot from three-point range, I'm an unbelievable point guard here, I can distribute the basketball, but I can certainly get to the rim if I need to, but keep everybody involved. Because we've seen, if this was one of those playoff runs, it's like, hey, man, Kyrie's 25-plus points every single night. Because we've seen where it's, combining for 65-plus points between those two and going toe-to-toe with Luka Doncic, trying to take down that scoring championship. I shouldn't say scoring championship, scoring number here from him. But if we're being honest with ourselves, that's not like your game plan coming into the series. If you're the Celtics, like, hey, Tatum and Brown, go off if you want to. Either guy gets 30 points. That's the way we play basketball. I don't think coming into it's like, hey, Kyrie, make sure you get your shots first, and then we'll play off of you. Luka Doncic runs the show here. PJ Washington has a chance to hit triples out there. You have other outside scores that you can use. So I don't think the focal point is Kyrie saying, I need to get mine. Kyrie's sort of like, I'll get in where I get in. And trust me, I'm real talented. He can drive it up to 25, 30 points, 35 points. But I don't think that's the MO.
Yeah.
Like in game number 1, right? Let's just play it out. Brown scores 31 points. Like, that makes some sense. Game number 1, Irving scores 31 or 33 points. Wow, Dallas was. You see what I mean? It's sort of more of a surprise if you see him being the leading scorer. That's all.
Again, Luka Doncic is a minus 180 favorite to lead the NBA Finals in scoring. He had 28 plus in all 5 against the T-Wolves, 30 plus, of course, in 4 of those 5 games. And then you could just compare points props on a night-to-night basis. Luka Doncic, 31.5 for game number 1 tomorrow night in Boston. Jason Tatum, second highest points prop at 27 and a hook. Both Jaylen Brown and Kyrie Irving see their number right now at 23 and a hook. Of course, we still have at least 4 more games of this 2023-24 NBA season, but the NBA championship odds are out already for next year in the association, where Boston already, Donnie, is a very short favorite to win the NBA championship next season at plus 350, followed by the Nuggets, Timberwolves, Mavs, and OKC. Boston rolling through the East in an easy way, like was the case this year, kind of expected to be the case entering next season. So what is more likely? The Celtics make the next 2 NBA Finals, or Dallas makes one of the next 2 NBA Finals?
Probably Dallas. Like, Dallas is a really good team. They're going to retool. Their ownership has money. If they need to add a piece or make a trade, we'll do that. It's just hard to say you're going to get back to another 2 NBA Finals for the Boston Celtics, because they did get a little bit of a break this year. I don't know if you're going to get that. A retooled Sixers team. Milwaukee's going to be much better. Maybe the Knicks don't get hurt. Miami retool. See where I'm going here? To go to back-to-back-to-back is basically what it would be. That's hard to do.
What's more likely continues on the other side of the break. You're on the early line.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The 2024 NBA Finals finally start tomorrow night. It is game number 1 in Boston. As we lead up and build into the start of the NBA Finals, we continue to look at this series from each and every angle. And after this series is done, the NBA season this year comes to a close, and we will already forecast next year. We have the odds out for next year's NBA championship, and Boston is a very short favorite at plus 350, $5 in front of everybody else in the association. The Denver Nuggets, the Minnesota Timberwolves, these Dallas Mavericks, the Oklahoma City Thunder. In fact, it's the Celtics for next short prices from the Western Conference, and then Milwaukee is the next up team from the Eastern Conference at 10-1. Meaning the Celtics are the only team in the Eastern Conference that has a 3-digit price to win an NBA championship. So we asked what is more likely. Boston makes the next 2 NBA Finals following this one, or Dallas is back into the NBA championship series at least once in the next 2 NBA seasons. You said Dallas. I actually think it is Boston. Now, I don't think it's going to be as easy for the Celtics as this year to get into the NBA Finals, but Boston has been in the NBA Finals now 2 of the last 3 years. I think the Western Conference is so much more stout up and down the board than the Eastern Conference is, and maybe there is a team to contend and keep Boston out of the NBA Finals, but I would probably already slot in, obviously barring any injuries, the Celtics into the Eastern Conference Finals once again against whoever that next best contender is. Joel Embiid and the Sixers, the New York Knicks, if they can emerge with somebody to pair up with Jalen Brunson, and we'll see what the offseason holds in Milwaukee. But I still would think Boston is back in the Eastern Conference Finals at least, and thus I would consider it more likely for the Celtics to be in the next 2 NBA Finals than Dallas in either one of the next 2 that we have beyond.
Yeah, if we're taking a look, though, this question probably a lot easier if we asked it after the NBA Finals ended. Because the reason I say that, let's just say the Dallas Mavericks do win this championship. There's no guarantee that they're going to be back one of the next 2 years, but I still think there's a better chance for the Celtics. The reason I brought that point up is if the Celtics lose this year in the NBA Finals, like we've been having these conversations, right or wrong, these 2 guys can't play with each other. And those 2 guys, obviously Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. What's going to happen? They're the favorite this year. They got all the breaks in the East. And now you're going to tell me we're going to get to the biggest stage and our superstars aren't going to perform, but we're going to tell our fans we're going to run this back and everything's going to be fine over the next 1 to 2 seasons at this point. But if you do see the Celtics, let's just say winning 5 or 6 games, then you're taking a look like, wow, like they have it here. So even if they, let's just say, falter in the NBA Finals next year, nobody's going to go like, you know what? This team's a bunch of chokers. Like, no, we won it the year before we got back. Let's see if we can run it back again for a 3rd time. So if you see the Celtics lose this series, I don't know, because from that fan base that goes, boy, we enjoyed basketball. We were the best team all season long, but it's apparent this group can't get over the hump. Maybe there's a valid argument to that.
That's a really great point. If the Boston Celtics come up short in this NBA Finals against a team in Dallas that has a dynamic duo and one of the great superstars in this league, but it's not the reigning Western Conference champs and the NBA champs and the Denver Nuggets. It's not a team that we really expected to be here at the end of the road. If this year's Boston core, led by Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, cannot get past Dallas, I would think there has to be some sweeping changes in Beantown, because if they can't win this time around, when exactly will they be expected to once again? Now we focus on maybe the 3rd most important piece for Boston. His name is Kristaps Porzingis. He has completed multiple scrimmages in recent days and is expected to return to action for game number 1 of the NBA Finals. That report yesterday from Shams Charania of FanDuel TV. It was expected, Donnie. It hasn't really moved the line. It didn't yesterday. We've just seen some pieces here and there based on what things have gone. We have not seen KP since early in game number 4 of Boston's opening round against Miami. Kristaps Porzingis this season has played 61 games. He has missed 35. He has not been in action now in over a month of real time. So what's more likely? Kristaps Porzingis plays every game in the series, or Kristaps Porzingis plays less than half the games in the NBA Finals?
easily playing every game in the series. And the answer I use in that is because they've actually been given extra time. If they needed Porzingis to come back, he probably could have hobbled up and down the court like OG Anunoby, as we saw for the Knicks, who had no business being back in the game. It's like, hey, we're on the ropes at this point. If I can give you anything, I'm going to try to help my team out. So I do think he's going to play limited minutes. When I say limited minutes, that doesn't mean 5 minutes a game. He's not going to get 30 minutes right off the bat here. He'll play good basketball, but I think he plays in every game. I do.
Kristaps Porzingis is playing every game of the NBA Finals. Dr. Donnie has been on it. Hamstring calf injury, something you need to take a while to nurse. He's had over a month to do just that. From the NBA Finals to the Stanley Cup Finals. Next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Now we are just 3 days away from night number one of the Stanley Cup Final in Sunrise on a Saturday between the Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers to continue to get you set for the Cup Final in 2024. Will Lord Stanley's Cup be going back above the border to the Great White North? Kasey Hudson joins us live right here on this Wednesday morning on the early line on SportsGrid. Kasey, you are in the Sunshine State. That is Florida. A Florida team back into the Cup Final for, what is it, a fifth consecutive year? The Lightning there for so many years, and now the Florida Panthers for 2 straight seasons. How does it feel to be in the hockey state of all of these United States?
Yeah, we're taking over, and that feels good. I know there's some mixed emotions about rooting for your in-state rival, but it works here in Hockey Paradise. We just want the trophy to stay in the Sunshine State so that the Lightning can take it back next year, of course.
And we'll see if it goes up to Canada. We have the northernmost team in the National Hockey League. That is Edmonton, facing off against the southernmost team in the National Hockey League. That is the Florida Panthers. Last year, Kasey, the run to the Stanley Cup Final for the Panthers was improbable. The 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, making it all the way there. But the odds were more optimistic. Florida would be back entering this season. For the Edmonton Oilers, it has been getting Connor McDavid a Cup Final. That has always been expected up in Edmonton. As we take a look at the path for both of these teams and their odds at every step of the journey throughout this National Hockey League season, Did you expect either of these teams to be in the Stanley Cup final as this year got underway?
The Florida Panthers, yes, if and obviously them getting past the New York Rangers, who were an extremely hot and complete team. As for the Oilers, not so much. I mean, I think I had the Canucks as my Canadian team to make it. We saw the adversity they had to go through, even though they put up a massive battle for everything they had to overcome. Then I had the Dallas Stars coming out of the West to compete in the Stanley Cup Finals. So never did I have the Oilers touching this grace, but I could see why they got there. But this is going to be a great matchup. All in all, if the Florida Panthers made it through the Rangers as I predicted that they would, I have them taking this one.
Yeah, two teams that's certainly deserving to be in the Stanley Cup Final. It's fun to see a team from, way up in Canada taking on a team from Southern Florida. If we take a look at the money line in this series, we're expecting a great one. Florida, a slight favorite with home ice advantage at a minus 128 price. If you're looking at Edmonton, that slight dog price at a plus 106. Also, the spread here, Florida to win by a game and a half, plus 160. To get the game and a half, Edmonton, that is a minus 200 price. And even if we're taking a look at the series prices, not game by game, over 5.5, heavily juiced at a minus 188 price here at FanDuel. So just being optimistic before we see this series start on Saturday, how are we feeling about this? Is it right that Florida's the favorite here? Is it should be a little bit distant here where Florida should be 140 or higher? How do we say it?
Yeah, I completely agree with Florida being the favorite here. And it's not to take away from what Edmonton has done whatsoever. And of course, I'm on board with McDavid deserving this stage, this spotlight, and an opportunity to hoist the cup. But the bottom line is the Panthers just kind of edge in a number of categories. And this is going to be the first most complete team that the Oilers are facing. The Oilers went against probably kind of the bottom half of goaltending in the postseason, if you think about it, whereas Bobrovsky, he may have not been on his sharpest game in the first two series, but he's still one of the top goaltenders and showed that throughout the regular season and started to pull that in. When you compete against the best team in the NHL, being the New York Rangers, and you have a chance to shut them out from continuing forward, that speaks volumes. So the Panthers just kind of have most of the complete team here. They're going to be much better defensively, which means it's going to be a problem for one of the most high-scoring teams in the NHL to be as productive as they've been. Look at the defenses that the Oilers have produced against. I mean, Chris Tanev was the entire defense primarily for the Dallas Stars, whereas you've got four of those guys on the Florida Panthers roster. You've got a lot of two-way players as well. They can pick up in the defensive column as well as get in on the scoring column. So it's going to be a tough test for the Oilers who, yes, they can score, but what's their D zone going to look like? And are they going to apply enough pressure to Skinner to make him crack? Because he has not been the most consistent goaltender between the pipes.
So as Donnie just alluded to, over 5.5 total games in the Stanley Cup Final, heavily juiced. Kasey, as we look at the total games market for this 2024 Cup Final, 6 games plus 198. 7 games, technically the shortest by 4 cents at plus 194. We see what the odds makers expect. Kasey, what chances do you give the 2024 Stanley Cup Final to see a full 7 games?
Oh, I don't see this going to 7 games at all. I see it going to 6 games max. Yeah, because, I mean, look, when it comes down to shut down goaltending, you're looking at a Panthers team that comes in strong in the final 40 minutes of a game versus a team that comes in heavy in the first 30 to 40 minutes. And to see how they were able to sneak in those points and really battle it out with the best team in the NHL in the third period, they're going to be closers in this, and they're not going to let things linger too much. We're not going to see as many overtimes as we did versus the New York Rangers. So I cannot see this going to 7 games by any means. Again, if they really get a chance to apply a lot of pressure to Stuart Skinner, I see this in maybe 5, but most likely 6 games.
The best player in the playoffs, that is your Conn Smythe Trophy Award winner. Conor McDavid here, the favorite at the FanDuel Sportsbook here. Kasey at a 2-1 price, followed by Barkov at plus 380. Bobrovsky at a 4-1 price. Kachuk, Draisaitl, Bouchard after him. So a lot of prices here at 10-1 or less. Is it just so easy to say that if you think Edmonton wins it, it's going to be McDavid? And if you do think that Florida is going to win it, it's going to be Barkov? And who can surprise us here in this market?
Yeah, I think it is pretty simple when it comes to the Edmonton side, because if you look at 2 of the games versus Dallas, if it was not for McDavid's performance, we would be talking about Dallas Stars versus the Florida Panthers, especially because of his ability to create those lanes for his teammates, the ability to set up scoring for his teammates. But if you want a surprise on the Edmonton side, I like the idea of Bouchard. I think that he has been extremely key for that Edmonton Oilers team. If you look at the consistency and the assists that he has picked up, 2 assists per game almost consistent-wise, I think he's a guy that can really kind of get in there and claim the Conn Smythe as well. And I kind of always had a defenseman taking this one for some reason when it comes to the way that these playoffs have played out. So McDavid and Bouchard over on the Edmonton side. When you're looking at the Panthers, there's kind of a lineup here of guys that can really take this. Of course, Matthew Tkachuk, he has been such a dynamic and dominant leader for this Florida Panthers team, whether it's assists, whether it's his physicality, whether it's his clutch goals or assists. But then you're looking at what Barkov has done. He's probably been the best two-way player in the postseason. He's tallying up great points, clutch points when necessary, but he's also been one of the best shutdown players in the NHL postseason thus far. But the guy that I can't just look away from is Forsling. He's been one of the best defensemen helping out in those clutch moments, but he's sitting at a plus 11 rating, which means he's one of the top guys on the ice every time the Florida Panthers produce in that scoring column. And we've seen his clutch goals that help this team surpass the best team in the NHL, being the New York Rangers. So you got about three guys that could take it on the Florida Panthers side. Top guy being Matthew Tkachuk, top guy being Barkov, but the other guys being Tkachuk and Forsling. I wouldn't be surprised again if it goes to a defenseman. So I got Forsling for the Panthers, and I got Bouchard for the Edmonton Oilers if it's not the top stars.
Ooh, I like those under-the-radar picks. And maybe, Kasey, you're not the biggest hockey fan out there, or maybe you don't care a lot about the Oilers or the Panthers, or maybe for some very strange reason you're not listening to Kasey Hudson give you the best bets for the 2024 Stanley Cup Final. If you need a reason to pay attention, Connor McDavid, the best player in the National Hockey League, is that. He leads all of the NHL this postseason with 31 points. Kasey, in the last 40 seconds of this segment, McDavid finally into the Stanley Cup Final. Will he match all of the hype that is behind him here as the Oilers try to win the Cup?
Oh, yeah. I think that he's going to bring the entertainment, the excitement. He's the highlight reel player. But I think he's also going to level up that much more because you're going against a little bit more depth scoring when it comes to the Panthers. Verhaeghe is a flashy guy to watch during this. He's got speed, he's got puck handling, and he's a pest around the net. So I think we're going to see a little bit of competition between McDavid doing his highlight reel and a couple of the guys stepping up on the Florida Panthers. But look, if you're not a hockey fan, you're about to watch one of the most physical, complete teams go against one of the most high-scoring teams and Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, and company. So it's going to be exciting either way to see how fast and how much can the Florida Panthers wear out the Oilers, and how can the Oilers overcome that with their exciting scoring opportunities and scoring style.
Kasey Hudson, we appreciate the time as always. Game 1 on Saturday in Sunrise. More on the early line next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Wednesday on the early line on Sports Grid. I am Ben Stevens. Donnie is on the right side, and Mark Zinno joins us live as the man in the middle for his Major League Baseball map on this Wednesday. Zinno, we appreciate the time as always. For whatever reason, Mark, when you come on the show, either wherever it is in the middle of the week, Luis Gil is often on the bump. Either we are previewing a Gil start or we are recapping what has been another dandy for who is the de facto Yankees ace as we await the return of Gerrit Cole. There is something serendipitous about Luis Gil on the bump and Mark Zinno on the early line.
Yeah, it certainly seems that Luis Gil and I are kindred spirits ever since I, accidentally miscalled him by another name, a name we will not repeat. But nonetheless, Luis and I have now become, two of hearts here. Let's go. I love it.
I mean, Zinno, they try to take our fun away at each and every moment, but yesterday it was all fun up in the Bronx. The 6th consecutive win for the New York Yankees, the Major League Baseball best as they add on to it, 43 victories this year for the Yanks, and Luis Gil, once again, sensational. Now 8-1 this season with a 1.82 ERA as the Yankees win 6 straight with the 5-1 victory over the Minnesota Twins. What is standing out to you most about this incredibly strong start for the Yankees in the first half of this season?
Again, it's not just Luis Gil. It's every other starter not named Gerrit Cole who's managed to be effective, whether it's Clark Schmidt or even Carlos Rodon and Marcus Stroman, who haven't been terrible by any stretch of the imagination. Excuse me. As I get all choked up about the Yankees, I'm so happy I can't contain myself. But, look, this entire starting staff has done a great job at bridging the gap until Gerrit Cole gets back in. And, oh, by the way, the lineup is producing, but I think we all felt that was going to be the case, right? Soto has been better than advertised, if you could say that. That's what's really kind of given an injection of life into this lineup that was very lackluster last year to a certain extent. And Stanton is healthy. These are all the things I say this repeatedly. You go into every Major League Baseball season with a ton of ifs. If all these things happen, then we're going to be okay. Conversely, look at the Atlanta Braves. If all these guys are hitting, oh, by the way, they're not. If all these guys are healthy and pitching well, oh, by the way, they're not. Guess what? You're going to struggle. So the Yankees seem to have everything clicking right now. It's just a question of if and or when some of these things start to normalize and come back to earth.
Yeah, and even when you're adding great players like Juan Soto, like Aaron Judge, you're seeing the benefit of you have to pitch to Soto. If he gets on base here, now you're putting extra pressure. And you look at the statistics here. Forget about the batting average. Judge is now up to a 293, which if he holds somewhere around 300 for the summer, the amount of home runs and extra base hits and RBI are going to be incredible. But his on-base percentage, talking about Judge, is actually better than Juan Soto, who we equate to getting on base damn near every time he's at the plate. It's been a great ride for the Yankees, which does include some of the starting pitchers. If we take a look at the AL Rookie of the Year, you can also equate this to Cy Young. Luis Gil has been that good. Now, my question to you, Mark, is we weren't expecting that as Luis Gil. Now, he's been absolutely wonderful. What are the expectations moving forward? Is it oh, yeah, he's a Cy Young candidate, and we should expect him to pitch like that throughout June, July, August, and even into the months of September when you're expecting some things to come down to who's going to have the best record, who's going to win the AL East? Give me a little preview of Gil for the rest of the summer.
If he can keep it up, and there is a huge if, because it's really hard for rookies to dominate like this for this long. At some point in time, too, do the Yankees play this whole ridiculous innings limit game that Major League Baseball GMs and front office people love to do? Well, we can't let him pitch. We can't let him – because, the guy is going 6 and 7 innings routinely every time he goes out there. It's not like he's only going 5 and they're yanking him. But, we've seen that happen time and time again, where organizations get very, they clench up at the idea of letting somebody pitch because, oh, by the way, another Tommy John surgery just happened this week to Christian Javier. That whole thing plays into it. And so if they let him pitch, there's no reason he can't. I mean, at this point, you would have thought that he would have had a bad start here or there. I mean, it's the same thing with Ranger Suarez for the Phillies. Like, at some point, you're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop with how well he's pitched. We're just not seeing it. And, you go 2 months, it feels like it can continue. There's no reason to believe it won't.
Yeah, first week of June, Luis Gil won all of his 6 starts that he made in May. He continues that momentum into June. He is now the odds-on minus money favorite ever so slightly to win American League Rookie of the Year, but has the 8th best price to win the AL Cy Young Award at 20-1. Make that make sense. Shota Imanaga, the favorite to win the National League Rookie of the Year award, and yet the 5th best price to win the National League Cy Young Award. Make that make sense. None of it does to me. 43 wins for New York, 43 wins for Philadelphia. Both the Yankees and the Phillies, tied for the best record in Major League Baseball at 43-19. The Phils walk it off yesterday at home, courtesy of Nick Castellanos against the Milwaukee Brewers, a 2-1 victory. Zinno, I would say in the American League right now, it's clear the Yankees are at the top. Who do you think is clearly at the top in the NL?
I mean, records aside, I'm still not going to say the Dodgers aren't the best team in the National League. They are. Their lineup is the deepest. Their pitching staff is the deepest. And, oh, by the way, little free when you're absolutely taking the Dodgers today against Paul Skeens.
Oh,
there's not a world where the Pirates should be a favorite today. That's just an absolutely ridiculous number. You're going to give the Dodgers
a favorite?
Yes, they're favorite today. And that's crazy because they went for, at least they were earlier this morning when I looked. You might have got
they are.
Okay, all right. Dodgers went from minus 170 dogs yesterday against Jared Jones to a plus, 108, 110 favorite, whatever, an underdog today. That's an insane swing that I just can't get on board with. But back to the Dodgers being the best team in Major League Baseball, National League. Yeah, I mean, the Phillies have played above their heads from the standpoint of, again, I keep telling people, like, Ranger Suarez, if he was normal Ranger Suarez, that looks 10 games different in the standing. You take 5 wins away and add 5 more losses, that's 10 games different in the standings. So, I look at the whole thing and I go, they're getting all the hitting that they need. The lineup is doing what they're supposed to do. If the pitching holds up, they're going to be really tough to beat. I just don't know that the pitching will hold up, especially the bullpen, because the Phillies' bullpen in recent years is bad. I don't know how much it's going to stay where it is right now. And until you see otherwise, guys, it's not 1 and Phillies 1A for me.
Listen, we respect the New York Yankees on this show, your favorite team. The least you could do is respect the Philadelphia Phillies on this show with Donnie Rightside favorite team. Come on, man. We preview the day in Major League Baseball, including Skeens Day in Pittsburgh next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Skeens Day once again in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That is Paul Skeens, the number 1 overall pick from this past summer, now making another start for the Pirates. And as Mark Zinno brought our attention to in our previous segment, with Skeens on the bump, the Buccos are booked as a slight favorite over the LA Dodgers. It's minus 112 for Pittsburgh, minus 104 on the other side for LA. Yesterday, the Dodgers a hefty road favorite inside PNC. It was an all-time pitchers duel. Tyler Glasnow on one side for the Dodgers actually recorded the loss because Jared Jones on the other rookie hurler for Pittsburgh was sensational. 6 innings of shutout baseball, and that was really it. Jack Zawinski, a solo shot against Tyler Glasnow. That was the only run of the game. Pittsburgh victorious 1-0. Zinno, in this spot, yeah, we know the atmosphere around Paul Skeens, but this would be the third time only the third time for the Dodgers in what is going to be their 63rd game of the season as an underdog. That almost feels too ripe to pass up.
That's why I didn't. The other times were April 28th on the road against the Blue Jays with Kevin Gausman on the mound. And the other time was May 5th at home against the Braves against Max Fried, who coincidentally, James Paxton started that game and the Dodgers won. Now, I'm not a huge fan of James Paxton. I mean, talk about Fugazi. Oh, my God, are his numbers ugly. Like, this is not a guy that should have a 5-0 record at this point in time, given the numbers that he's putting up. There's like a major walk problem. When you walk 28 guys in 52 innings, that's better than one every other inning. You shouldn't be 5-0, especially when your whip is approaching 1.4. So it scares me a little bit to back the Dodgers here. But the other part of this, too, is that Skeens has faced like the Cubs twice as the only semi-legitimate lineup. The Giants stink, and the Tigers are not a very good lineup either. Sorry, I forgot who the fourth one was. So he's going to face a legitimate lineup for the first time in his career. And welcome to the bigs, kid. We're not going to Chennedy Carter, Caitlin Clark, knock him dead kind of deal, but they should be able to knock him around a little bit.
There you go. Talking about knocking them around 210 and maybe knocking Houston out of the playoff race here is what St. Louis was trying to do. It didn't happen last night. The bats broke out in a big way for the Astros. But let's take a look at this. 973, 974, 2:10 p.m. start. Michaelis versus Blanco, and a heavy favorite here for Houston today at a minus 162 price, a total of 8.5. Can Houston try to claw back into that race with a dub today here?
I would look at their team total over. I don't always like to play in the spots where teams are going for sweeps. I'd rather play on the team that's, trying to avoid being swept because sweeps don't happen all that often in Major League Baseball. But it is Miles Mikolas and his 5.54 ERA and his 1.32 whip and his, 10 home runs that he's given up this year seem like a good thing for a Houston Astros team that is one of the absolute very best teams at hitting the baseball in their home ballpark. I think they're number 2 in batting average. They're number 1 in OPS and number 1 in WRC plus at home. They've got an incredibly low K rate. So I don't want to get involved with sort of playing Houston as a favorite here to win it. I would just probably take their team total and go over, and you probably get a little bit more of a manageable number there than the minus 170 that's floating around.
Zinno, we have a saying on this show. Donnie is ready to stick the fork in the Houston Astros. So when Houston wins a game, we hide the fork. And the Stros have won 2 games to keep that fork in the cupboard for the Astros this week against the St. Louis Cardinals. That game, one of 6 we have during the afternoon hours on this Wednesday MLB slate. Another one, the first game of the day in Fenway. It's an even pick'em. The Braves taking on the Red Sox. Yesterday, it was Max Fried and 13 strikeouts as Atlanta won 8-3 over the Sox in Fenway. Even Pick'em, minus 108 now on both sides, the updated numbers for this game in Beantown. Who gets a win?
If you guys could spell the last name of the Atlanta starter, I'll buy you a cup of coffee next time.
Ben loves him. Ben loves him.
CHWELLENBACH. And you might be saying, Ben, you have your computer in front of your face. You could have spelled Spencer Schwellenbach's name, and we wouldn't know. But I would know, because he's the 2021 Big Ten Baseball Player of the Year from your Nebraska Cornhuskers. What?
That's right.
That was correct.
You are right. You are right. You are 100%.
Oh.
I did forget for a moment when I chided Spencer Schwellenbach last week that Ben had to defend his Big Ten honor, but not a spot where I want to play on Atlanta here. Against Schwellenbach, he's got some more polishing to do.
All right, listen, vanilla sweet cream cold brew grande. I could pick it up from the corner of 35th and 7th at the Starbucks if you wouldn't mind. I'll get it in like an hour. No soy milk for me. That's for you, DRS. Mark Zinno, we appreciate the time. As always, more of the early line next.